friends, I'm Amy. I'm the Globetrotting Stitcher, and it's great to be back with you today. It has been a minute. Yeah, it's just, we have a lot to show you today, so I hope you have a big cup of coffee and some good stitching to work on while you're watching us, because we have almost every whip in the house, just because it has been a long time since we've been with you. But we're really happy to be back today. You know, as we had told you, it's just going to be a very busy season, and it is certainly coming to prophecy, or whatever, however they say it. Anyway, weird. Just I think a couple of quick life updates, and then we were going to get into a whole bunch of stitching with you. I've been back from my most recent trip to Kenya for about a week, and not a whole lot to report from that. It was all work, and meetings. So simply to say, it was a good and productive trip, and I'm happy to be home. And I'm heading back. So in 2 weeks, I am heading back to Kenya, and we'll be there for a couple of weeks. And so it's just, like I said, a busy season. Also wanted to thank so many of you left great comments on our last video, and clearly really enjoyed it. So thank you for that. Also, thank you so much to everybody there was a lot of you who were very much interested in the bowls that I brought home from Rwanda, and a lot of folks wanted to know if it's possible to get those. The nice thing is that I did a little bit of research, and the co-op that works with the ladies in the village to produce these beautiful products. They actually have a US-based distributor. So you can actually go online and order some of these beautiful things. So I will include a link in the description box below for those of you who are interested in taking a look. They have carvings and all sorts of things. It's not just bowls. So I would encourage you to take a look, because it's a great opportunity to help women in Rwanda. Also, a lot of you were outraged on my behalf, or were surprised at the needle confiscation that happened at the airport, and were worried that I might not have had any needles. Fortunately, I had plenty of needles elsewhere in my bags, and so I was able to stitch on my way home. Thankfully, the person who confiscated my needle was not as thorough as she might have thought, because she apparently missed seeing those. So, yeah. That was an interesting experience. Another thing I wanted to update everybody on, and most particularly wanted to talk about this in this video, just because I'm not sure, we may only have one more video before my trip to London in December. So wanted to share with you how some things are coming together, especially because I know some of you were interested in meeting up while I am there. So, I have been having a couple of had some online chats with a few folks who are going to be coming and meeting up with me while I'm there. And so we have some of the details down. I'm really excited because Morty and Brom are both coming. I can't wait to meet them. Lynn and Gina are both coming, who I have met before, but I'm looking forward to seeing again. And then a couple of folks who don't make floss tubes as far as I know, and some folks that I don't think I've met yet, are also coming. So looking forward to making some new friends. So just some quick details for those who are in the London area that might be interested in coming to meet up and stitch. So we are going to be meeting at the Ostrich Inn I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, so British friends correct me. I don't know if it's Slough or Slough. But it's not too far from it's kind of in the vicinity of Heathrow Airport. We're meeting on December 8th, at the Ostrich Inn. I have to tell you, Morty is like the queen of organizing and pulling these kind of things together. She's just like jumped in and helped find a spot and, do a bunch of follow-up and looking into things. And my goodness, thank goodness for her, because I was like, I don't know. So Morty is the mastermind behind the details, and I'm so thankful for her. So we're having like a little buffet lunch for those who are interested. And so if you decide to join and you're not already kind of part of the discussion and we don't know you're coming, please either let me know or Morty know if you want to come and partake of the buffet lunch, because we'll need to make plans for that and communicate with the inn and so on and so forth. So anyway, those are the details. If you haven't reached out to me already, but you're interested, please do. Would love to meet you, and very much looking forward to seeing folks on December 8th. So, oh my goodness, it's coming up quickly. Okay, and then before we get into stitching, I wanted to shout out 2 new Flosstube channels that I've discovered recently. So one of them is from one of our longtime viewers, Epworth Glenn, and their channel name, or her channel name, is Texas Cross Stitchers. She has been a regular commenter for a long time. I've really enjoyed interacting with her, and she and her daughter have just recently started. I think they have 2 videos out now and maybe a couple of like Flosstube like extras. But she and her daughter have now started their own Flosstube channel, and I really enjoyed watching them. They've got a lot of beautiful things that they're stitching. Her daughter is a very new stitcher, and so she's only got like 1, maybe 2 things that she's working on, but I have a feeling that she's going to very quickly ramp up and be stitching on a lot of things just like the rest of us. And then Epworth is a longtime stitcher who is stitching on a lot of lovely things. So I really enjoyed getting to know them. I love the mother-daughter dynamic, and so I hope you'll go check out their channel because they were a lot of fun. The other stitcher, or new Flosstube that I've recently discovered, and I think he has 4 or 5 videos out now, is Stuart in Stitches. And I discovered Stuart just because he showed up in my suggested feed on YouTube, and anytime I see a channel from a male stitcher, I like to go check it out because I want to make sure that we encourage our male stitchers to continue to join into the community. I think...
humbug!
I think it adds a lot to the community to have male stitchers and making videos. And so I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Stuart and watching his video. I've got all of his videos that are in my queue now. Stuart is from Scotland, and one of the things that was just like a very pleasant surprise to me in watching him is he's from an area of Scotland, the same area of Scotland that one of my coworkers, one of my teammates is from. And he's got a very similar intonation in his voice. And so listening to him, it feels like I'm talking to my coworker, who is somebody I admire very much. And so it was just like a nice added, on top of just his channel being really fantastic. He's stitching on a lot of beautiful things. He enjoys stitching fancy ladies. And one of the things that I always enjoy is seeing fancy ladies from different designers. A lot of us that do stitch fancy ladies, we tend to kind of stick with 1 or 2 designers, and he's like doing fancy ladies from a lot of different designers, and so lots of great variety. So go check out Stuart in Stitches. You will not be disappointed. He is fantastic. Okay, so that is it for the kind of like updates and preview stuff. So let's get into stitching. So I've got 2 fully finished objects to show you today, and these are both secret stitching. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen one of them a couple months ago, but that is, I've only posted 1 picture of one of the projects. So at the beginning of the year, I found a couple of designs that I knew I wanted to stitch for Gary, and we just celebrated our 11th anniversary last weekend, which was really fantastic. And so, so I wanted to stitch something special for our anniversary. And when I saw these, I was like, those are definitely anniversary worthy. So these are both Nora Corbett designs. This is the first time I've stitched from the Nora Corbett line of designs. I've always just stitched Mirabilias. I stitched them secretly. Gary did not know I was working on these projects. And so it has been interesting to try and find times to stitch when he wasn't around and wasn't going to see what I was doing. And so these have both done a lot of traveling with me this last year. But so the first one is that I finished is, oh goodness, I'm forgetting what it's called. Okay, Floral Dream. And then the second one is called Moon Glow. I stitched both of them on a piece of the same piece of 32 count cauldron linen by Picture This Plus. And I used some of the called for flosses, and then I did my own conversion on some of the colors just to make them, I think some of the colors that were in the original designs weren't either to our taste or wouldn't fit into our home as well. And so I did do some converting. So this one is Floral Dream. I probably should have warned you all before I pulled this up that if you are offended by tasteful nudes, look away. So anyway, here is this beautiful lady. One of the things I did convert, she had brown hair. I made her a redhead for obvious reasons. But yeah, this was really fun to stitch. I so enjoyed this. I think she's absolutely beautiful. And then here is Moon Glow. Let's see. I'm handling this very awkwardly. I don't know why I felt the need to do this. Anyway, okay. Here is Moon Glow. Again, the 32 count cauldron by Picture This Plus. I went ahead and mounted these and framed them myself. And so they were a surprise for Gary for our anniversary, and I love both of them. So yeah, there you go. 2 fully finished objects. Oh. All right. Okay, so now we'll get into our whips. So the first thing I'm going to show you, I'm not showing these in any particular order of when they were stitched, just whatever's on top of the stack first. So the first whip you're going to see is my wild card project. This is Cabin Fever. It is a Dimensions Gold collection kit. I am stitching it with the kit fabric and floss, and the fabric is like an 18 count kind of cream or ecru Aida. So the last time you saw Cabin Fever, I had taken it to Rwanda with me, and I worked almost entirely up in the top right-hand corner of the design, filling in background and just working my way down. Because I was traveling, I was working in a hoop, and so I had a much more limited kind of space to work in, and so I just really concentrated in on that area. So this is where it is now, and this traveled with me when I was in Kenya last week. And so it was kind of a similar situation where I was working in a hoop, and so I had a very limited kind of space to work in, and so I really concentrated in up here and did a bunch of fill-in. And so you can see where I had, in the before picture, I had a whole bunch of gaps over in these areas, and so I have filled in completely down through these trees and finished this off here, filled in all this fill-in here as well. The nice thing about where I was able to put the hoop on the piece is that I had a little bit more ability to work in the cabin. And so I filled in all of this up here on the roof as well, and then started working my way down into this middle section of the cabin. After I got home from my trip, I did kind of work in a few threads and get a little bit done down in here, but you probably won't notice much difference because that just really didn't get a lot of stitching in on it. But again, I'm really happy with how this is coming along, and it feels really good to get such a big chunk of background stitched in because, again, that's, several thousand stitches, and it looks like a relatively small section, but I think it makes a big difference to knock that much of it out. So, yeah, this is where we are now, and I'm looking forward to when this comes back out in the rotation. Okay, the next thing that I am going to show you is my fancy lady. So I am stitching Ros of Sharon by Mirabilia, and I am working on this on a piece of 32 count Meadowview Lugana by Fabric Flair. This is a printed fabric that has a nice fade from sky blue down into meadow green at the bottom. And I am stitching this with all the called for flosses. So the last time you saw it, what had I done? Let me look at my notes because I don't remember. Okay, the last time you saw this, I had finished stitching. So up at the kind of the top left of the archway, there's a swag of greenery and flowers that goes across, and it's really dense stitching. So I had finished that. I had started to carry the arch down a bit on the left-hand side. And, oh goodness, what else was I doing? Yeah, started the left column. I had finished all the blue draping of fabric in her skirt and started working on the hollyhocks to the right of the beautiful lady. I also finished I had also finished the big medallion on the right column and stitched that right column quite far down. Here's where she is right now. I think the short story is I did not get much time on this. I stitched on this the week before I went to Kenya, so it was only a partial week of stitching, and weeks before I travel tend to be very busy and working late in the evenings to prepare for a trip. So you can see I brought this swag down a little bit and started working in the left side kind of ornament on this pillar. I stitched in more of these hollyhocks over on the right hand side of her. And then I did carry the yellow in her skirt a little farther down, and then also started stitching into the train of the dress on the right hand side. So very somewhat limited progress, but I don't even think I got 1,000 stitches on her, to be honest. So a little bit sad that I didn't get much time on her, but it's okay. Every stitch counts, and we're closer to being done now than we were a month ago. So that's where I am on her. Okay, another whip from me, and then we're gonna hear from Gary, because I've been doing all the talking. So the next piece I will show you is my De Farben Venedig, or the Colors of Venice. This chart is by Historische Stickmuster, and I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count cream and sugar linen by Fiber on a Whim, and I am using all the called for Swaud Alger silks. So the last time you saw this, I had finished filling in the dark blue rectangle, so I'm in the third row down, and I had finished stitching in all of the dark blue rectangle on the far left of the third row, and then I finished stitching the kind of brown gold rectangle that's in the middle of that row, and got a start on the light blue rectangle on the far right. No, I started the light blue rectangle. Oh my goodness, you guys. Feels like a long time ago that I stitched on this. So the memory is a bit fuzzy, but here is where it is right now. Okay, so as you can see, I have now finished stitching this light blue rectangle. Did a lot of fill-in on that. Oh my goodness, we have some, all right. And then got to start on the dark blue rectangle. So we're now working in the very bottom row of this design. So I started stitching in the dark blue rectangle down here. And I think this was actually maybe a carryover from when I was working up here, because that was already in, and I don't think I did any stitching on that. But this was another one that I made decent progress, but I didn't have I just didn't get I think I lost a day or two of stitching the week that this was in rotation. So it's not quite as much progress as I would normally see on a single rotation, but still chugging along. I think I am on track to finish this by the end of the year. Saying that, I don't want to jinx myself, because with this next trip to Kenya being gone for 2 full weeks, it's going to really put a wrinkle in my stitching time and in my rotation. And so I'm just kind of like, we will get done what we get done, but that's not what the focus is over the next month or so. So anyway, that is my Colors of Venice, and I really love this. I'm looking forward to seeing it finished. So that's where I am on that. So I'm going to give it to Gary, and he'll tell you what he's been working on.
Hi. Okay. Anyway, what I've been working on. Well, the first one we'll talk about is Wonder Woman. And once again, I was prepared in my mind, but not with my...
Not in your body.
Not in my notes. So we'll just have to look at me doing this for a second. Yeah, okay. So Wonder Woman is by Cross Stitch Bay. It's an Etsy shop. It's stitched on 16 count Pew to Ada with mostly called for DMC. The blue in her hair and in her pants or whatever they are, I thought it was more teal, and I didn't like it, so I just went with a darker blue. But the more teal one kind of definitely gives it the comic book flavor. So you might want to do that one if you're going to do this. Anyway, the last time that you saw Wonder Woman, I think I was still trying to finish her lasso, which is on that side there, and I did. I finished that, I believe, and then I also did a good amount of filling. But there's a good chance that the lasso is finished in the last one. But there'll be a picture up there next to it, so you can judge whether I'm truthful or not. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I am on this one. It's not as challenging as I thought it would be, but I think that's because I did the outline of all the black outline first, and then filled it in. That, I don't know. But with that said, I wanted to show this one picture of her where you can see basically half of her is not filled in. I meant to show that in the last video, and I just thought the contrast was pretty cool. Anyway, so that's where I am on Wonder Woman. My plan is to work on Wonder Woman 1 week and then Louis Armstrong the next week. I don't know when we'll do another video. Maybe Amy will have more to say about that. But the next one that we would film would be filmed right about the time we're supposed to leave. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work out. Anyway, so that's where Wonder Woman is. The next one I'm working on is Louis Armstrong, and that's by Stitching Jewels Design, and it's stitched on 16 count white Aida. DMC 310 or black, whatever you want to call it, is the color that I'm using. I don't know if I should keep saying this, but as some of you know, I started this before and had to restart from scratch, but that's okay. The last time you saw this, I think I was close to being done with the bottom row, if you will, on page 1. So that would be the very bottom of this. I think I was close to finishing that out. This is what, this is where it is now. So I've actually spent a lot of time on it. I don't know, I kind of caught like, I was like, I gotta work on this. Some of you might know what I mean. And I was just like, that's all I wanted to work on. So I just took it out and just kept working on it. And for some reason, and I don't know how true this is or isn't, but I think it just looks neater than the first one I did. And I don't know if that's because of all of the things I've done and all the practice and skill, or it's because I'm using the pattern keeper thing, because that really does help a lot in terms of finding errors real quickly, and just, making sure it looks good. So I think it looks good so far. It's still hard to tell what it is. Could be a can opener, who knows? But time will tell. Anyway, so I'm going to keep working on that, but I'll probably work on that next week. But again, I'm not sure when we'll show it to you guys again. It might be a month, but I have some ideas on that. Maybe we can send some stuff from, or upload some stuff from Kenya. Maybe not necessarily all cross-stitch stuff, but maybe just like a check-in here and there of what we're doing, being eaten by hippos or whatever happens. You'll see it here first. Anyway, so that's all I have to say. You mustn't allow me to ramble.
I can verify that. So what I didn't tell you when I said I was going to Kenya, and Gary has spilled those beans unintentionally, which is fine, is that this trip to Kenya is not a business trip. This is going to be a vacation, which is going to be super fun because in all the years so Gary has been to Africa, but it's been a long time and he's never been to East Africa. In all the years I've been going to Africa for work, Gary has not traveled with me. He's been to many other places with me, but he's not been there. And so we are really, you all right?
I drank my tea with the wrong drink part. We went to Dubai.
We went to Dubai. We went to New Zealand.
No, but Dubai was work, right?
Dubai was, so was New Zealand.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we went, okay.
So he's been, one of the things that we've done a lot of times is if I'm going somewhere that we would like to go together, he'll come with me for, the however many days that I have the work part, and then we'll stay on and do vacation. And this time we're just going end-to-end vacation. Our good friends who we go on vacation with every year are coming along. It's going to be their first trip to Africa. So I'm really excited.
Clark and Amy.
Clark and Amy. You may have seen them in some of our pictures from the Grand Canyon in Hawaii over the last couple of years, but I'm excited because I'm going to get to share this beautiful place that I love with people who have not experienced it before, and I'm going to introduce them to a lot of friends and colleagues who are there, and so I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, our son is coming to stay with the dogs, and so we're not leaving our house unattended.
No, he's probably going to have a lot of parties.
God help us. So anyway, yeah, we should have a lot of fun things to share with you after that trip. All right.
And potentially during the trip.
Yes.
Huh?
Okay. All right. We'll get back to stitching for now. So I am going to show you, I've got a couple more things to share with you. Let's see here. So the first one is my seasonal design, which has been sadly neglected. You guys have hardly seen this one because I've hardly worked on it. In fact, I think the last time you saw it, it was a brand new start to you. So this is a chart that the designer hasn't given it a name. It's just a number. It's chart 2016. And the designer is Unra la Thème d'un Thé. I am calling it Joyeux Noël because it says Joyeux Noël on it, but that isn't actually its technical name. So I am stitching this on a piece of 36 count natural Edinburgh linen by Zweigert, using all the called for DMC floss. And I told Gary, you'll see this in a minute, I told Gary the other day when I was working, I was like, this chart is like a celebration of brown. So as I said, the last time you saw it, it was a brand new start, but I have been working on it this week. Excuse the hanging threads because this is still actively in rotation. So this is where I am right now. So as you can see, I have stitched the word joyeux. I'm still working on the white kind of accent that goes into that, but you can see the word now. I've put in more of these kind of white confetti stitches that I think are meant to be sort of like, snowflakes coming down. We've got more of this reindeer here, and then a little baby reindeer that's coming in at the bottom. And then I did quite a bit more stitching in this kind of spray of branches with snowflakes interspersed. And I mentioned this in the last video. There's a technique in this design that I've never, in 35 years of stitching, I have never seen this used before, but I kind of like the effect. And so there's quite a few of these branches on this twig, or this, spray, as it were, where you do a full cross stitch in one color and then you come in with a completely different floss and do a half stitch over the top of it. And it gives it a nice effect, both just visually from the difference of, it's a slight contrast of color that you get, but there's also a bit of that extra dimension because it's, a little bit more raised up from the other stitches that are just full crosses. So this one I've really enjoyed what we've been working on it this week, even though it is a celebration of brown. It's a very soothing stitch to work on, and I really love the French design aesthetic as well. It's just really different. I just find it interesting because even though it's a bit minimalistic, it's just got its own unique, it's not what I would consider to be primitive. It's just, efficient but elegant, and I love it. It's really, really pretty. So looking forward to spending another day working on this, but it's been a real pleasure to work on this week. Okay. Then the last whip that I have to show you haven't seen for a bit. This is my weekend stitch. It has been sadly and sorely neglected just because it's not one that I can travel with, and so it doesn't get as much time as other things do, but I am working on Butterfly Port Mauve. This is a full coverage design by Heaven and Earth Designs, and I am stitching it on a piece of 28 count white easy grid Lugana using a combination of half stitch and continental stitch. So the last time you saw this, I was primarily working in the background underneath and to the left of the beautiful peach flower that I'd been working on. And I'll show you where it is now. This has seen about 1,300, 1,400 stitches of progress since the last time you saw it. So what you'll primarily notice is that it is more background. This has just been a lot of like working my way in the background. However, what has happened is I have done, so there's a new, and it's not as distinct as this little bud down here, but there's a little flower bud here that kind of overlaps with the big peach flower. Then I filled in all this background here, more of this leaf, and then come in and started stitching this next peach flower down here. And you can see the outline around it and get a little bit of the sense of the shape of it. The other thing that has happened with this piece is that I have now also moved it up in the Q-snap because I needed more space to work. So this piece is, let's see, I'm almost at 32,000 stitches on this. I had hoped at the beginning of the year to get it to 36,000 stitches by the end of this year. That is not going to happen. So we'll just get as close to that as we possibly can. But that is where I am on this one. Okay, so I wanted to tell you guys about a change that I am making into my rotation. This is something I've been thinking about for quite a while. And what kind of sparked this was two things. One, I had mentioned earlier this year that I was thinking about doing kind of like some kind of special something the next time I have a milestone birthday. And while that's a couple of years away, I was contemplating, a lot of people do like 50 starts when they turn 50 or 40 starts when they turn 40. And I was like, well, that's a lot for me, but I want to do something. And then I was like, yeah, but that's a couple of years away. I don't know if I want to wait to start some things. And the other piece that kind of got me thinking about it is as I was working on these two projects for Gary that you saw today, what I found that I was doing was, because for work, a lot of times I get up really early in the morning for phone calls. Even on days when I don't have calls I have to get up for, I tend to wake up pretty early and, at least an hour or two before Gary gets up. And so it gives me some time where I could do a little bit of stitching in the morning. And so I started thinking about what that might translate into for my stitching. And I decided to create a new category in my rotation. I'm calling it my monthly morning stitch. And it's going to work a little bit differently than my normal rotation. So in my normal rotation, I've got my categories and I will stitch one project for a full week and then move on to the next project. And so those projects get all of my focus when I have evening stitching time. What I've, and what that ends up meaning is that I end up getting, I work on all of the projects in my end up working on all of my projects for the most part for a good week a month for most of them. The way that my monthly morning rotation will work is I am picking 6 projects, and what I'm going to do is give each of those projects morning stitching time for 2 months out of the year. And so over the next roughly 6 months, I'm going to be starting these 6 different projects. They'll get whatever time I have to give them in the morning. They'll get whatever progress. And then they will go away until the next time they come up in the kind of what's the other month they get during the year. So they're not going to get the same kind of progress that my normal rotation projects will, but this allows me to work on some of these projects that are a bit larger and that might not get started for who knows how many years, because I do prefer a really structured and limited rotation. So hopefully this makes a little bit of sense. But what that actually translates into is that I have a new start. So I started this official monthly morning rotation here in October, and I started my first project about a week ago. So you won't see a ton of progress, but this will be my monthly morning stitch for October and then one other month, which I don't remember what that month is going to be. So what I have started is a project, it is a Luca S kit called Autumn Creek Mill. I am using the kit fabric, which is 18 count, and the kit floss, which is anchor floss. And this is a very large project. It is going to be many years before this ever gets finished, but at least I finally have a start on it. And so this is what my progress looks like right now. As I said, not a lot, but this is a little over 700 stitches. And I'm enjoying it so far. So this is being stitched full cross. It is a full coverage piece, and I've never stitched a full coverage in full cross before, but so far so good. So this one I'm going to continue to work on through the end of October, and then I have a completely new project that I am planning to start in November, and that will be my monthly morning stitch for November. So I have picked my 6 projects, and you'll be seeing what those are as they come up over the next couple of months, but I'm looking forward to this. I'm a little bit daunted by how slow the progress is going to probably be on these, but it's at least I get to work on some of these things that I otherwise might not start for many years, and I think I'll enjoy it. So that's where that is, and I'm looking forward to showing you this the next time we make an update, and then also introducing what my November project will be. As we mentioned, we're going to Kenya for a couple of weeks. I'm not going to take my November project, so it's going to be also small progress, but it is what it is. So with that, I have a little bit of haul that I wanted to show you. So Gary wasn't the only person who got stitchy gifts for his for our anniversary. He also gave me, among other things, there were other parts of my anniversary gift, but he gave me a couple of new charts as a part of my anniversary gift, and I wanted to show those to you. So these are a couple of things that have been on my wish list for a while. And the first one is The Light of Winter by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. Many of you know I stitched Winter Rose Manor a couple of years ago and really loved it. And so this is the companion piece for that. And I think it's beautiful. I've watched other folks stitch it over the last year, and I'm looking forward to stitching it at some point. And then Gary also gave me the Valentine sampler, also by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread, and just a beautiful little collection of Valentine smalls that are super, super pretty. And so I'm thinking about which of these I might want to start sooner rather than later. So that's those. So let's talk about plans. So I actually have some really fun plans today. As I mentioned, I'm going to spend one more day working on Joyeux Noël, and that is today. But one of the things that I'm really looking forward to as a part of that is I'm actually meeting up with a stitchy friend here in a short while. After we finish filming this update, I'm heading down to meet my friend Connie. Some of you might recall Connie is one of our longtime viewers, and she and I met up last year. I think it was last year, might have been the year before last. Anyway, we're gonna meet up, we're gonna have lunch, we're just gonna stitch and have a great time together. And I am super looking forward to seeing her and catching up, and I think it's just gonna be a lot of fun. As far as other things I'm gonna be working on, as I mentioned, I am gonna spend the rest of October spending whatever morning stitching time I get and dedicating that to my new project, Autumn Creek Mill. I am gonna give a week of progress to my full coverage piece, which is Rose Trellis In, and I am gonna spend some time working on my Ros of Sharon by Mirabilia. I think that's what you'll see in our next video. I think we'll be filming one more update before we go to Kenya. But if not, I am planning to take the Colors of Venice with me to Kenya, and that'll be just the project that I travel with, and whatever progress I'm able to get is going to be great. So that's what I'm going to be working on. You heard Gary say he's going to work on Wonder Woman, and he's going to switch off 1 week on, 1 week off with that and with Louis Armstrong. We did have one question that came in for Gary. Gary, I don't know if you wanna answer this, but we got a question from Boojum360.
I'm not answering a question from anybody with boojum.
I think you should reconsider.
I'm sorry. That's okay. That's a great name, actually.
It is a great name. So Boojum wanted to know how many action figures you have, and they said it looks like your bookcase could topple over at any moment.
Yes, it could. The best way for me to answer that is more than 3, right? And the reason why is because the figures that you see that are out, they're just the ones that are out. I have a couple of big boxes of them. I even got rid of some several years ago, but I still have, I think in total, I have about anywhere from 750 to 1,000 of them. Not sure about the 1,000 because I did get rid of some, but I got quite a few. As far as what's out, I know there's at least 92 or so of the DC Multiverse figures, but I don't know how many of the other ones, the Star Wars, the Black Series, or any of the other ones are. But I think I could easily say there's about 150 to 200 of them out upstairs. But there's way more in boxes. Anyway, so yeah, that's more than 3.
More than 3.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell people about what the figures are today?
No, because I just don't think it's necessary. Actually, the figures today are, I was actually going to, I shot an engagement session, and I typically ask people if they have any themes or anything like that they want to explore while we do the shoot. And they said, dinosaurs and caves. And I thought, Poet Orchard, no caves and certainly no dinosaurs. So we couldn't really find a place that would meet those needs. And no, there's no Museum of Natural History where we could fudge it. Anyway, so I went to the toy store, not toy store, but I went to a consignment store, and I bought a bag of dinosaurs. And one of them is a T-Rex, and he's a really cool looking T-Rex. But there's a character from Mandalorian, this little short guy, I don't remember his name, but he would say things like, "I have spoken," or "I have spoken." He did much more cooler than I did. Anyway, he's handing him a hot dog, the T-Rex. So that if you look, you can see the picture's right, I think over here. Yeah, he's handing him a hot dog. But I actually did a series of pictures, same pose, but one is a pizza slice, another one is a burrito, another one is this big like turkey leg. I just have fun with these.
You had the ice cream cone too.
Yeah, and an ice cream cone. Two tops on there, not one. There's 2 lumps of ice cream on there. Anyway, so yeah, I know that's not your question, but yeah, I'm probably going to be collecting them for a long, long time, I hope, right? Anyway, that's how many I have. Another answer is more than any grown man should have.
Someday, I've told Gary, I think that someday he should like catalog all of his action figures and like create a database of them. But I think that would be a long-term project. He's got quite the collection. So I think that does it for us today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Thanks for your patience and waiting a while for this video. And thanks for your understanding that we'll probably have some more big gaps between now and the end of the year. And then hopefully things will settle down for me at work because it's been a wild one. But if you like our videos, please do give us a thumbs up. Feel free to leave us a comment. We enjoy reading all of your comments, even if it takes a while for us to recognize that we've read it. We do read all of them and enjoy them. You can send us email to globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com. And if you're not already following us on Instagram, as Gary said, we will very likely share some updates there and photos as we're on our trip in Kenya, and maybe even post something to YouTube. So we'll see. But if nothing else, stay tuned and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. So happy stitching and have a good one. Bye, everybody.